To this week's showing of the IndyCar Series, November the 12th, 2023. As you can see, Jackson starting out on red, Glenn on white, Nathaniel on green, Guillermo on orange, Randy on blue, Garrett on yellow, and Jay on purple. They're all coming up here to get their cars and their stickers, and they're going to get their cars put out there, and we'll be right back with you just as soon as they're ready to go racing. All right, watch your lights. Here we go, folks. 4 red lights drop out to green, and we're starting this Indy race here at Lanes Raceway. Breakout set at 1.5 seconds down low. So we get a car on its lid flying through the back stretch there. It looks to be Randy Kirtley and another car. The IndyCar Series is definitely one of them that is kind of mesmerizing to watch. All of them lock gear ratio, stock fresh from the box, and just seeing them all kind of just group up and race like they are. It's like I said, it'll put you somewhat in a mesmerizing type thing. And here we are with the issue we had before. A lot of people don't want the big breakouts time or the delay times because it causes a lot of wrecks. But then if you put it real short, this is what we have. This is the problem we're having with the software. is that when the button gets pressed, there should be a delay time before a button can be pressed again. If we could do that, then we wouldn't have these double, triple presses bringing it back up online. And of course, we have voiced our opinions and stuff like that, but we have yet to see a update for the timer. So maybe in the future, maybe they can't do it. I don't know, but either way you look at it, it's very annoying. As we can see, you know, Glenn was there putting the car back on, everybody else was racing. Kind of makes, in my opinion, you know, a little unfair for Glenn, but nonetheless, what do you do? I can set the delay time after it gets pressed before the track gets shut off, and that keeps people from double pressing, but then you just have a bunch of cars wadding up into each other. So no happy medium till we can figure this out, and it looks like we're going to have to do it because the software won't allow us to do it. 53 seconds left to go in the heat. Guillermo Sire currently out in the lead, running a median of 1.75. Jay Latham there in second, 1.84 there on purple. Of course, all of our races today are going to be on the oval. Coming up next after this race is, as you know, one of my favorite Ohio Valley Dirt late model on the oval at 5 p.m. See the car flying completely off the track. Guillermo and Jay Latham tied for the lead currently. Hearing some gear slippage. Probably from the past couple wrecks here. Somebody might need to check their gears. Jay Latham now taking the lead, and Guillermo taking it back. We get a car slam a wall somewhere. I can't see it. Get a yellow flag here. 4 red lights going to drop out here. Car of Guillermo Sire. So Randy Kirtley, Guillermo, Garrett, and Jay fighting for the lead, really, as they are only just 2 laps separates them from the bottom to the top. We got Nathaniel, Glenn, and Jackson up on the upper portion of the track, kind of battling too. So just because there's a battle up top and a battle down low, we can kind of assume that everybody's pretty close together, really. And Jay Latham's going to take over the lead right at the last few seconds there to end the heat. We'll take a quick look here at the track mate. See Jay Latham there in the lead, 66 total laps there on purple, followed by Randy Cutler with 65, Guillermo with 65, 64 Garrett Burden, and 54 Jackson, 52 Glenn, and 48 Nathaniel. I'll leave you over here with the oval. I'll let you watch these guys work and be right back with you. All right, here we go. Round robin 2 of 8. Jay Latham, your current leader. Randy Kirtley down on purple, right there behind him. Guillermo Sire in third place up on white. Garrett on orange. All 4 of these guys battling for the lead. Jackson, Glenn, and Nathaniel still up high a little bit. Nathaniel finally coming down low a little bit. We'll see him gain a few more laps as we continue on here. But focusing in on our leader there on black, we can see him trying to reel in Randy Kirtley just in front of him there with the old popsicle car. And then right now making a pass on Nathaniel Burden. About a half lap track's difference between these 2 racers. Both of them having issues with the Hawk 7 motor. Randy Kirtley just bought a fresh one a while ago. Could not get it to break in. Had the hardest brushes of a Hawk 7 ever seen. And anyways, that's how it goes with the Hawk 7s. After this series, the Hawk 7s will not be forced to be ran in the IndyCar, and you can choose to run either a Hawk 7 or an Eagle motor. Of course, everybody will probably opt to use the Eagle motor as they just run more efficiently. And it looks like the high side here, Randy Kirtley's going to try to make a move on Jay, but Jay's actually pushing harder now, keeping that from happening. Randy Kirtley trying to inch his way up there as he almost makes the dive bomb pass, and he does. Jay lets him get past there. Neither one of them getting involved in an incident there. Really tight, quick with Jay on the trigger there, allowing that to take place. As we see a car fly to the outside, I believe that to be Nathaniel Burden's red and white Verizon. Randy Kirtley, Jay Latham tied for the lead with 117. Guillermo Sire in third place, 112. Garrett Burden, 111 for fourth. And then we see a little bit of a separation here. Jackson, Glenn, and Nathaniel, 100 all the way down to 78 total laps. So we get 2 more cars off the track here. One of them there to the outside wall looks to be Jackson Darty to the high side. Jay Latham coming to grab the other car, and that looks to be the red and white of Nathaniel Burden. Eight seconds left to go in this round robin 2 of 8. Don't forget, like I said, we still have Fairview Cup to come and Ohio Valley Dirt coming up here later on here at Lanes Raceway. We call it Fairview IT Cup, but we got another name for it. We call it Destruction Derby. As most of the time, that's when I sell the most bodies is in our Fairview IT Cup Series race. Everybody destroys their bodies in that race. The car's quite quick. Randy Kirtley is going to tie the lead right now with Jay Latham with 124. And third place is going to be tied between Guillermo and Garrett with 118. And this could just be subjective of what lane that they're in, as there's somewhat of a battle going on. But we can see Garrett there only turning 54 laps there on orange to Guillermo 65. Could be constituted too of hard wrecks taking place. Jackson there 105, 95. Glenn, Nathaniel 78. Leave you guys here with the oval. Let you watch them work. Be right back with you. All right, folks. So just found out that previous heat there had a loss of time. Made a note of it. Heat 2, we'll just take the median times, which is 1.5 as the medium time, and we will add that to everybody. And just like how Guillermo had to do last week. I'm sorry, folks. It's just the software. There's nothing I can do about it. I've tried. We've worked on it all week this week, trying to get it to act better. But that latest update is not good from Track Timer. And it could be the box that Track Timer has got for the track kill button maybe causing an issue when they hit the track button. I don't know. I mean, I hate to speculate what the problem is. All I know is that it likes to take about 30 seconds off the time sometimes for reasons unknown to man. You know, these are kind of things that should be definitely fixed, especially with the price of this software being in the thousands when it's all said and done. You know, I don't know. Granted, I understand slot car racing, RC racing, stuff like that is a niche type thing, but still yet, get the stuff fixed. That's about all I got to say about it. It's very irritating. 1 minute left to go in the heat. Randy Kirtley now out in the lead with 162. Jay Latham 159. Guillermo Sire 155 and Garrett Burton 149. Jackson there trying to breach that gap between him and Garrett at 145 to 152 Garrett. Glenn Burton 131. Of course, Nathaniel not running anything yet as he's come in here to buy himself a axle a while ago. He had a bent axle and a stripped gear. I asked him if he wanted me to pause it so he can get that on. He said, nah, he's in last place. Go ahead and rock and roll. So we're going to go ahead and do that. 30 seconds right about it left to go. And so far, Randy Kirtley in the Popsicle Mobile. He's passing everybody. There on the high side, he passes Jackson. Jackson was wondering whether or not his car was earlier on good enough to race. And I raced it a little bit. I think handles really well. It may be down a little bit on power compared to the likes of Guillermo and maybe Garrett, but it handles so well and it's got a good coast to it that I think he makes up for it. He's just got to keep the car on the track. So we can see Randy Kirtley there in the lead, average 65.3, 63 on average for Jay Latham, 61.7 on average for Guillermo, Garrett 58.3 average, 57 on average for Jackson. As you see, he's trying to bridge that gap. Glenn Burton 50.3 on average, and then of course Nathaniel suffering some bad luck this week with an average of 26 laps. I'll take you back over here to the oval and be right back with you. brushes go bad, like how they're going in these motors, you just buy a set of brushes for $2, you know, or whatever. If you want the more expensive, harder brushes, you know, they're going to cost more. They'll last longer. Springs, all that stuff, you can just buy it all. Armature burns up, you get another one. You know, ball bearings in them, they start getting wobbly, you get another set. Or you can put bushings in it, whatever. But just make it to where the people can just build their motors instead of having to come in and buy fresh motors all the time. You know, I think in the long run it'll be cheaper. Now, initially speaking, the motors are more expensive. They're like $25, $30. But it'll make it to where that you, instead of you collecting old motors, you know, and busted up motors, you'll have armatures that you can swap out. You know, this one armature is a little better than this one. It runs a little bit, you know, more RPMs, a little more torquey, whatever. And, you know, you'll know when you run them. So I think that'll be pretty good. And then plus, you know, it ups the tinker value, right? Because people like to tinker. And make sure their stuff's really good and true. You know, we got the brush alignment tool that you can set up, make the brushes perfectly perpendicular so that they cut, you know, half moons. And do all that. I think it'll be a different style type series, but we can use that motor also to run like a truck series or something like that. You never know, in the future we may get bigger track or something, like a bigger oval, and then, you know, those motors like that that turn higher RPMs would be more interesting on the backstretch and stuff. Back to race 30 seconds left to go. Randy Curley out in the lead, 245. Jay Latham 238. Guillermo Sire 237. Top three really battling out. Jackson Air 225. Garrett Burton 225. Glenn 200. As we can see, the bottom three battling it out for that fourth position. We'll see how things change. Like I said, not too many wrecks so far in this series. A very, very close little bout between these guys. We get a car there wrecked, and that looks to be, can't really quite tell from here. Jackson's going to get it. Jay Latham's car. So I think that might have been the first wreck for the heat, so that ain't too bad. Of course, we'll take a picture of the final laps here in this race, and we will update it with the changed amount of laps lost, and we'll update that, of course, and put it on Facebook. And then y'all know where people stand. Of course, y'all will not, like, at the end of this, it'll be close, but there might be a give or take here and there depending on all right, so we're experiencing issues all over the place here, folks. I love it. Gotta love Windows. Folks, hopefully that's fixed it. I think I just erased Randy Kirtley's best lap there. All I did was literally click on the sound button down on the bottom right. Amazing. The glitchiness of this computer cannot be understated. I'm just happy we're halfway through this race. Maybe we can make it all the way through before the place catches fire. Randy Kirtley, 262 total laps there in first place, 253 for Guillermo Sire, 252 Jay Latham. What a battle for second place. And a battle for fourth place, 239, 236 at Garrett and Jackson. Glenn Burton there, 211, and Nathaniel Burton there, 78 towards the bottom. We'll see if Glenn, when he starts rolling down here at the bottom, we'll see if we'll see a change here in some of that, because he's going to be able to turn a little bit more laps. We'll take you over here to the, sorry folks, I'm reading all this stuff off and didn't even swap over to the track mate. Give you a few seconds there with it, and then we'll swap you back over to the oval and be right back with you. right, folks, we're back to racing. I'll tell you what, the guys are pretty upset with the Hawk 7 motors. A lot of stuff going bad here at Lanes Raceway as it comes to quality, us getting stuff from the distributor. Nonetheless, I think it just goes back to the manufacturing of these motors in China. And the guys are asking to maybe have a vote to midway through the race or series here. Next week, of course, will be midway, about swapping motors to just make it to where you can run either a Hawk 7 or an Eagle. I said, as long as everybody agrees, I'm okay with that. The gear ratio, of course, will stay the same, but these guys will be able to swap over to a more reliable motor. And we'll probably just go ahead and phase out the Hawk 7 motor, as just like the internet says, they're trash, folks. I mean, some guys are getting some that the brushes are decent on, and they'll last a few races. Like we see here with Garrett's car, it's really quick. Guillermo's got a quick one. Randy's got a quick one. And they'll last a few races, but then they completely burn up and they ain't no good. Or the guys will get one right out of the box that just never breaks in, and it's horrible for the whole time, and it just doesn't turn well. I don't know if it has something to do with the timing of these motors or what, but I'm okay with that if the guys are okay with it. And then, of course, I want to make sure that when we start the race, everybody has the same motor in the car. If we do this, that has to be done. So we'll, of course, talk about this after the race is over with. But it'll definitely be mandatory for everybody in the series to swap over as we progress forward in this series. Randy Kirtley in the lead, 290. Right behind him, about 6 laps, is Guillermo Sire with 287. Jay Latham, 283. Jackson, 273, about 10 laps down. Jackson fighting with everything he can to get up there with them. Garrett, 272. Glenn Burden, 246. And still yet, very close racing, boiling down to just a couple wrecks. Nathaniel's still out. I guess he's still working on his car, trying to get it up and going. He's had a bent axle. In this class, that's something that happens a lot of the times. They're wide open in the back of these cars, and they can take direct hits, folks. I'm talking direct hits right in the back end of the car. So that could be an issue too. We see Glenn Burden there with, I believe, is that Jay? Yeah, Jay Latham there, going to grab these cars and put them back on. Jackson and Randy Kirtley getting started back at the finish alongside with Glenn. Of course, this week, instead of running the wing car, we will be running the Fairview IT Cup Series race, which will be coming up at 6 o'clock this evening. But coming up next, Ohio Valley Dirt Late Model Series at 5. Another one that's very, very close. Locked in gear ratio. A lot of people battling for the lead on it. And last week we had a 4-way tie, so that was something to see. And then on top of that, we had to go and fix the software having an error, dropping out some time. Guillermo Sire was nice enough to fix all that and send us a nice graph that you guys seen on Facebook with the updated laps, so we appreciate that. Anytime the guys catch something like that, we do a quick fix, and we hurry up and try to get that changed and be as fair as possible. Because a lot of times I don't catch this stuff. I'm watching the guys race. Every once in a while I look up to see how much time's left. I don't catch it all the time. Randy Kirtley caught it this time on heat 4 as they lost 30 seconds just a while ago too. Don't know what's causing it. Something's causing it. But this is the latest update. We just got to bear through it till we get another update. 10 seconds left to go. Randy Kirtley looks like he's going to stay in the lead after this heat. But Guillermo Sire was able to grab about 3 or 4 laps from Randy just this heat alone, being a median of about 10 seconds or a tenth of a second quicker. So we head over here to the track mate. We can see Randy Kirtley with a 65.4 on average. Guillermo Sire 64.4 on average. Jay Latham 62.2, 61.4 for Jackson. 59.8 for Garrett, a 54.4 for Glenn Burden, and a 15.6 for Nathaniel. I'll leave you guys over here with the oval and be right back with you. All right, 4 red lights drop out to green, and we're going racing. Randy Kirtley up on white, Guillermo down on purple as we get a car to the outside and a car touching one of our pinball machines. Looks like a car made it all the way out there to Jurassic Park land. Glenn didn't even see the car there. He's reaching down and grabbing her now. I believe that is Jackson's car that made it all the way out there. At least it made a nice safe landing on our stern mat, anti-fatigue mat there. So it looks to be Jay Latham and Jackson getting started back at the start-finish line. And 4 red lights drop out to green, and here we go, folks. Focusing in on our leader here, Randy Kirtley up on white. We're going to start seeing him lose quite a few laps to everybody below him as everybody's trying to run as hard as they can. We see Guillermo Sire there in second place on purple, really blistering fast speeds down low. As he passes Garrett Burden down low. And down on black lane, we have Glenn Burden. He's possibly has one of the issues that we were talking about earlier about it's a bag of tricks whether or not you get a good Hawk 7 or not. So Glenn Burden down on black should be, you know, right there with Guillermo Sire, but we see Guillermo Sire's median of 1.66, Glenn Burden 0.2 of a second off of that. So Glenn's car, you know, nowhere in the park of racing with these guys simply because of a bad motor. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's a brand new motor just freshly broke in. So this is why the guys are making a vote to just go ahead and, you know, cancel the Hawk 7 out of these cars. Now, I got quite a big stock of Hawk 7s for this series. So, you know, the shop's going to take a big hit too, because it's not ever going to be able to sell those motors again. But, you know, at the same time, nobody likes to watch a race where one guy has such a huge advantage over another simply because, you know, he dipped his hand in a bag and got a lucky draw. The Eagle motors, in my opinion, are just right there neck and neck with each other to the point, yeah, they are quite more aggressively fast, but they are neck and neck. And for the most part, you don't have one that outstands above another. And I do like that. So I'm all for it. And I told the guys just a while ago during the break, if they want to make a vote on it, we can do it. We got enough people here to make a vote on it. We'll go ahead and vote on it. And I just made a rule that if we do, they all need to all have the same motor. If they're going to do Eagles, everybody needs Eagles. There is no voting, yeah, let's do it, and then some of them keeping an Eagle, because, you know, that car will be substantially slower. Something I've noticed too is Eagles, they last quite a bit longer than these motors. So even when they are quick with the Hawk 7s, their half-life is maybe 3 races before they're completely gone. Where an Eagle, as long as it don't take some real hard hits on the ground or something like that and knock the gauze out of the magnets, you know, them motors can last for 6 or 7 races without guys really wanting to change them so much. We see our second place Guillermo Sire coming up to make a pass around Glenn Burden. You can see just how easily he was able to do that off the backstretch. Glenn Burden full throttle there. And it just goes to show you the variances between these motors. Everybody has had their motors checked to see whether or not they have Hawk 7s. And, you know, put yourself in Glenn's shoes here currently. You know, there's nothing Glenn can do about that. But Glenn's a good sport, and he races because he loves racing. But at the same aspect, you know, you can't be pleased with that. You know, getting just pass like you're setting still on the backstretch, and both of you got the same gear ratio and everything, you just know that it's the power plant that's causing it. So we don't see that with Eagle Motors. We don't see that with the Stomp motors from Mid-America. Both of these motors are pretty consistent when it comes to, you know, having to battle a little bit when you're side by side, no matter what. You know, I've seen some really good Stomp motors that people's worked on and made them super, super duper fast with 48 pitch type stuff, but it's few and far between, and, you know, that's knowledge based on some people. That's why we do set breakouts. So, you know, as you'll see when we come up next here in the Ohio Valley Dirt series, you're going to see that these guys have to battle when they're side by side with each other. It's not as simple as just being able to pass them on the backstretch. And, you know, I think last week or the week before, Guillermo had a bad motor too. So where his was running about similar to the way that Glenn's is running. So I think it's a positive change for sure. You know, 10, 15 years ago when they were doing Hawk 7s, they were kind of similar to the Eagle motors, you know, and that they had power, and that wasn't the issue. The issue with them back then was they would smoke a lot of times. They'd blow up. Guillermo Sire in the lead right now with 392, followed by Randy Kirtley with 388. Jackson 371, Jay Latham 368, Garrett Burden 364, Glenn Burden 336, and Nathaniel 78 to round it up. I'm going to take you over here to the oval and let you watch these guys work. We'll be right back with you. All right, folks, looks like we got 4 red lights dropping out to green. We're going to go back racing. Jackson rushing up in here. He's like, man, my Indy car is not an Indy car. It is a dirt car. Did you see me swap into somebody? So we'll take a look here on Orange Lane on Jackson. What I'm seeing here so far, it doesn't look too bad to me. It doesn't look like it's slopping back and forth too bad, but maybe when he was down lower there on purple, that could have been the case. And we see him there pointing over there at somebody right now. We see him pointing at the screen right now. Jackson loves causing some trouble here. As he's just a few laps ahead of Jay. I think he's peacocking a little bit. Jay knows that he's heading the white lane next, though, so Jay's probably not all that scared. Guillermo Sire there, 404 laps, currently your leader. Randy Kirtley up on red lane. Looks like he might have got involved in an incident there with somebody. That's it. Guillermo Sire is going to grab those cars and put them at the start-finish line there. 7 laps difference separates Guillermo Sire from Randy Kirtley currently. And we get another one crashed in red lane on Randy. Randy's going to drive that baby around, get as many laps as he can. And it looks, if I'm not mistaken, to be Jay Latham's car. I think Randy Kirtley made the comment, he's like, I'm not going to hit the button. I'm just going to run it. A lot of the guys, when they come off, need to probably hit the track button as quick as they can. CJ Latham there on green, getting his car put back on there. So Randy did get one of those laps, but where he was behind Jay, of course, it instantly broke him out. So he was able to get that lap there too. So he's snuffed up good there for 7 of 8 currently. Everything's looking decent. Get another car parked in the red lane there, getting hit a little bit. That looks to be Jackson's car that flew way up there. Jackson there on orange, of course. Guillermo quickly grabbing his car. Guillermo representing the LMP Thunder Series shirt from last season. And of course, Guillermo, he'll get him another shirt this season too, as he's in the 4 Crowns entered up. Also, Glenn Burton too. But they'll be personalized this time. We're spending a little extra money to get their names on them and get them personalized versus last time, we got them a lot cheaper. It still wasn't that cheap. It's still right around $300 total, but this time they're going to be around right at $400 total for all the shirts, but at least their names will be on the back. I want my guys to feel like they've accomplished something. Like, what's the point of coming out and racing if there's not some sense of accomplishment? That's how I feel about anything in life, and I don't want these guys feeling like they're wasting their time coming out here. I want them coming out here racing for prizes, racing for money, racing for, bragging rights, whatever it may be. I like to keep the competition alive here and give accolades where they are due, and we see a lot of hardcore racing going on here, especially between currently Guillermo Sire and Randy Kirtley here. Randy Kirtley, of course, up on the high side here, turning 55 laps so far. We'll see if that's anywhere to compare to what Guillermo could run on red, as we now need to start looking at our top 4 positions here to see who's going to bring it home today. So there on red, Guillermo Sire was able to turn 67 laps. Randy Kirtley, of course, getting held up a couple times there, once by Jay, I think a couple times by Jackson on red, costing him quite a few laps there. He's several down now, but we see that Randy was able to make up quite a few laps there on white. Other than that, he lost 4 laps on blue, and he lost right at 10 laps on purple, but was able to gain a lap on black. Now, Guillermo's coming up on yellow. Unless he has a drastic change here, probably going to bring this baby home. But the battle we're seeing here right now is between Garrett and Jackson, somewhat of an arch rivalry going on here. Garrett there with 433. He's going to go on black. He's probably going to hold this position because Jackson's going all the way to white. Jackson really needs to watch out for Jay just right below him here, just about 7 or 8 laps down from Jackson currently. And where the Jay's going down on blue, unless Jackson doesn't wreck, it's going to be pretty close. Minute and 42 seconds. We'll be right back with you. right, 4 red lights going to drop out to a green, folks. This is the last hoorah, the final heat for this week's IndyCar Series. As we can see, Guillermo Sire out in the lead, 466 laps, 467, followed by Randy Kirtley down on green. That yellow and that green, when it mixes, it kind of reminds me of Days of Thunder, the City Chevrolet. Both these guys battling it out. We see Jackson already losing a couple laps to Garrett. Looks like Garrett's going to be able to hone that baby in. Randy Kirtley might need to watch his sight whenever Garrett's down low like that, turning 0.2 of a second faster. Garrett on a somewhat of a block here to be able to move up. Randy Kirtley there, of course, he's higher than Guillermo Sire, so it's going to be very tough for him to catch Guillermo here as we see him only turning 22 laps to Guillermo's 25. But Garrett Burden right now currently turning 28, narrowly missing a wreck here to the high side. And I believe that might be Randy Kirtley's car coming to the high side, trying to push that little bit extra that he needs to be able to try to gain that first position. But at the same time, Randy's probably feeling a little bit of sweat here, being that it's only about 10 laps difference between him and Garrett. Garrett, of course, really pushing as hard as he can to gain that second position. Jay Latham there, of course, they're on blue trying to gain those 5 laps on Jackson. So we got a battle all the way ensuing all the way to the very bottom. And, of course, it looks like Jay's possibly going to be able to grab Jackson here. He's already turned 32 laps to Jackson's 30. So he's gained 3 laps within 2 minutes or within 1 minute. So if he gains another 3, he should be able to pass him or be right there on the same lap with him. 10 laps is the difference between Garrett and Randy. It looks like they're going to solidify their positions here with 30 seconds left to go. So Randy Kirtley's going to narrowly be able to keep it. Now, of course, this is not adding to those laps that are lost on average. And, I have to do quite a bit of math because I'm going to have to get an average on everybody's lane. So an average for yellow, an average for blue, an average for orange, an average for green, before I can get that information out for the 30 seconds of time lost. 7 laps difference with 7 seconds left to go. And it looks like Randy Kirtley's going to hang on to that second position narrowly for Garrett. And it also looks like Jay Latham got within 1 lap to Jackson, but Jackson's going to hold 4th position. So congratulations to all these guys for running this race. We got a 1-second pause here. Actually, let's go to blue lane. It's going to be close. So we see blue lane, about a lap difference currently. And let's hang on a second here, folks. I think we got a tie here. Hang on. As we head over to the track mate, we can see Jackson and Jay currently on the same lap. And we can see that Jackson's fixing to cross the start-finish line, and Jay just crossed it. So literally about a lap difference between these two. But it was close. It boiled down to the wire between Jackson and Jay. But like I said, it looks like old Jackson's going to hold it off. Anyways, yeah. So Jackson taking home 4th position here. We got Guillermo, Randy, and Garrett, your top 3. All right, Guillermo, Randy, and Garrett, if you don't mind, please step in front of the podium for your picture. And it was a pretty good battle there. Garrett, of course, running 72 laps, tying up Randy Kirtley 72. Top 3, you can't hate that. If you're on podium here at Lanes Raceway, that means something. And all 3 of these guys battled out quite hard. Randy, of course, took a hard hit there on red lane. It would be the one that I would pick out of all of them that he suffered the most. And then, of course, Garrett, suffering the most there. What looks to be on orange lane, only running 54 laps there. Now, Guillermo, on the other hand, he probably suffered the worst on white lane, hit with a hit of 53. But like I said, all 3 of these guys only had 1 lane where it was hard hit and it was rough. But as we end the IndyCar race here that started at 3 o'clock here, the 12th of November, what a race it was. A lot of give back and forth between all the way down to 6th position. But thank you guys for tuning in and watching. Don't forget, coming up next, 5 o'clock, Ohio Valley Lawn Care Dirt Late Model Series, one of our really tight and close races. And we'll definitely let you know by then which way this vote goes, whether or not these guys are going to move to Eagle in the IndyCar Series or we're going to remain in Hawk 7 territory. Nonetheless, God bless you, and we'll see you back here at 5 o'clock.